Welcome, Laura. We haven't done any introductions yet, so we're all good.
Okay.
Right now.
Good morning.
Right, so I'm Sharon. I'm the least smart out of you all now, so I feel very underdressed. I am going to go for a run after this meeting, so I can be forgiven. But welcome and thank you for joining us. And being able to get you all in a meeting before you even applied for an application is fantastic, and it just sets the tone of a wonderful project. So I'm your local advisor for the project here in Wales, but I will help you through the whole process of doing the horrible application. I'm going to say it's not nice, so I will help you with that. And then I'll help you through the project, and I can assist with meetings and assist with global learning, and then eventually your learner-to-learner projects. I can help advise you all the way through and help with reporting. So like I said, being here together now is really good because it means that the application can be done collaboratively and that you've got that sense of equity for the whole thing. Yes, a school in Wales takes the lead and manages the money, but the whole premise of the project is that it's bringing together schools from other countries to work together on professional development and a pupil learner focused project that they can do together. Okay, so if we can do a little bit of introductions. And then my agenda was very informal, and we won't be here that long. It's just to say a little bit about who you are and your school and any global learning interest that you have. So any global issues or SDGs, so a global goal. If you've done anything on the global goals, is there anything of particular interest that you'd like to include in this project? So those are the two main things I think would be useful to say as we go around the screen, if that's okay. And then I have got my colleague here from the British Council as well, so hopefully she can jump in at some point. So if I come to you, Sian, first, because you're going to take the lead on the application, and introduce yourself and what we've talked about really with your interests.
Yeah, no problem, Sharon. Hello, everybody. I'm delighted to be here and to meet you all. I was very excited going to bed last night thinking about the meeting today. So my name's Sian Smith, and I'm Deputy Head Teacher at Llanwern High School, which is an 11 to 18 school in Newport, which is Wales's third largest city. It's a school of around 950 pupils. It's mixed. It's in relatively deprived area, but we have fantastic students, and we're really keen to work on celebrating diversity in our curriculum. In terms of sustainable goals, obviously we're always looking for quality education, but reducing inequalities, it would be something we're also interested in. And I noticed in terms of the sort of country priorities, there is inclusive education policy and curriculum support in terms of the Nigerian education policy. So I think we can find something to work on together, but I'm delighted to meet you today. I know that Sharon said that we were going to be the lead school, but that's not necessarily the case. We'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you. Brilliant, Sian. And you've got a colleague also from Llanwern. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Dave Jackson. I'm the Associate Assistant Head Teacher. One of my roles within the school is to look at promoting and celebrating the diversity amongst our student body. But also I have had some experience within the school of global learning. I've led 2 school trips to work via with the company African Adventures to Kenya, where we've taken 25 students over to support schools over in Kenya. And also I was part of the Global Learning PLC for South East Wales, where we were looking at how we could develop sort of global learning themes across the curriculum and integrate them into the curriculum, sort of thinking around sort of challenging stereotypes, valuing diversity and exploring identity and breaking barriers, but then sort of linking all that was finding common ground. And that was from primary schools right up to through to secondary schools. So that's sort of why I'm on the call. Once Sean mentioned this, I was really excited to sort of become involved with this. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, and Sean's already explained about our wonderful school here at Llanwern.
Brilliant, thank you guys. Well, definitely in a strong position here as a cluster when you've got two senior members of staff wanting to take this project on, and what Dave referred to then, a PLC, is our professional learning communities. So we've got a new curriculum in Wales, and so for a long time we've been developing expertise across different curriculum areas, and global learning is a huge focus for us in Wales. One of the main strands of our new curriculum is to develop ethical and informed citizens. So this project is core to that development, really. So being able to do this with partner schools in Nigeria would be really, really strong and fantastic. Okay, if I stick with Wales for now, if that's okay. So we go to Laura, and then we'll come over to our colleagues in Nigeria to introduce yourselves. So Laura, can you say hi, please?
Thanks, Sharon. Hi, I'm Laura Morris. I am Deputy Head Teacher at Ysgol Llanwern. I'm joined by Vicky, one of our assistant heads here, who will introduce herself, even though I've just stolen a couple of her lines from her. Ysgol Llanwern is situated in a place called Penaglaig, which is in the middle of the Rhondda Valley. It's quite a different context to Llanwern, as in we are miles and miles away from anything that could be called a city or anything like a city. Our school is a 3 to 16 school, so we've got a wide age range of pupils here, and it is in one of the most socially, economically deprived wards in Wales. So we've got, a huge amount of diversity within our school, but that diversity sits within a set of boundaries. Lots of our pupils are parented by people who also went to this school, and grandparented by people that also went to this school or one of the local schools. People tend to stay local, and we have been working with the Pioneer Network over the last 4 or 5 years and developing a slightly different type of curriculum here. As I'm sure you can imagine, it's a 3 to 16 school. We're all on one site together. It's an incredible opportunity for us to have a curriculum continuum, but it's really important to us that our pupils become increasingly globally aware, that they appreciate, recognise, acknowledge, and accept diversity, and that's something that's at the forefront of our curriculum development at the moment. Looking at the goals that have been set out by British Council, and having done some British Council previously before, actually, I think for us really, even in a number of areas, for us it's about reducing inequality in the city, but doing that through a curriculum lens, and making sure that it's not an additional problem, bolt-on, if you like, for want of a better term, but it's actually an integral part of the heart of Ysgol Llanwern. Vicky, I don't know if you want to add anything there.
Yeah, good morning everyone. Well, Laura's already introduced me, so Vicky Evans, and you've got the context of the school there. I suppose, yeah, just building on that really, our curriculum has been developed since we opened in 2018, and Laura's touched there on key points, things that we feel are going to be valuable for our students. We've been lucky, sent staff to Iceland, I think to Finland, Spain, looking at practices there, so this is kind of broadening our reach again, to take the best practice that we possibly can, bring it here and share expertise across continents, for the benefit of all of our pupils. So really it's nice to be involved in the project.
Brilliant. Again, a new school, but a real depth of experience there, which will be really valuable. Will the primary phase want to be involved as well?
We are a through school, and everything we do includes children from across the full continuum. So we don't ever agree to do something if it means that it's only for a selected age group of pupils.
Okay, so I'm Jato, and you're there now, aren't you? I think we might need to add another school to the cluster, possibly, depending on the secondaries actually that we've got involved. So if we hear from our colleagues in Nigeria, we can see what the age range is there. But It wouldn't matter if you were linked to 2 separate schools, but I think having the age range would be really important for the pupil project. Okay, so Chargo was first in the meeting, so I'm going to come to you, my friend. Can you introduce us, introduce yourself and your school and any project interest that you have in terms of sustainable development goals and global issues?
Okay, good morning, colleagues. I'm so glad and delighted to be part of this meeting this morning. I had so much look up for this meeting today. When yesterday I was so excited when I had to feel, and then I was alerted about the meeting today. And since then I've not rested because it's such a great privilege for me, which I've never had before. Finding the opportunity to be able to interface with the experiences that you people have over there, with the classroom experience we share here, and also the training we've had with the British Council. The name of my school is Government Secondary School, Jiwa, Abuja. And my names are Obaje Chogu Ekele. The school is a mixed school. It's a mixed school, and we have a population of about 1,132. That's the total population of the school. And then the school details, the age range ranges from 15 to 18, because it's a senior secondary school. And then Jiwa is about the community where the school is situated. It's actually on the outskirts of the federal capital, Abuja, of Nigeria. And then it's bordering to Dede. You can actually sight the popular Zuma rock that is on our currency. You can sight it from where the school is. And it's actually located on the GPS coordinate of 9.0618 degrees north and 7.2977 degrees. And then
you'll have to copy that in the chat for us so we can find you on Google Maps.
Oh, good. That'll be so good. I'll do that immediately. And then it has a native authority. We have a native authority here, basically, and the chief is a first-class chief. Though much is expected of the community, seeing the status of the chief, but educationally, and then the background of the predominant people that live here, their education is so backward. It's far less below expectation.
Okay.
And then predominantly the inhabitants of this community, they are farmers. They are peasant farmers. And then the socioeconomic mainstay of the people, the section of the minority few are nomadic Fulani people. And then the community is sited near the expressway. They speak a dialect, a language called Bagi. Bagi is their dialect. The language they speak as their original tribe. Then sometimes they also speak Hausa and English to communicate with the non-tribes. They use the school uniform is actually green and white. Then the community, they have a clothing, an attire, a traditional attire, which a fabric they call baggy attire, and then it's kind of navy blue, dyed with dark. Historically, they are educationally backward, like I said, due to cultural affiliations. Then the value system, not until lately, when there's a reawakening and reviving the younger generation towards education. Earlier ones, at 17, people from this community, once a boy is 17, he already has a wife. He will be given a wife, and then a vast portion of farmland, to sustain himself and his family. So that is they start life very early enough here. They start family very early enough. Then eventually they grow to become responsible. Then it takes more. And as the more the child keeps growing, and then he begins to take even more wives because they live polygamous kind of here. Yeah. So then the measure of your wealth is measured by how many wives you have and how many farmlands that you have. So they still maintain that ancient tradition which gradually we believe that the younger generation, will come to, to be exposed and gradually embrace the Western values, and they
you're frozen.
Shaping, the face of the culture over here. So basically, we teaching methods. We employ the traditional Nigerian curriculum and the traditional method of delivering and teaching, like discussion, lecture, experiment, simulations, team teaching, etc. Because of lack of facilities, we don't use smart boards or projectors over here, just the whiteboard or chalkboard, blackboard in the classroom. But one of the things I've been able to do by my exposure to the British Council training, I've been able to, find people in town, who vendors in town that rent projectors. And, anytime we have meetings, or some of those are meetings, I personally fund it. I rent those projectors and make sure that, we have exciting, and it's so exciting. The atmosphere here, when you get to see, the experience, the teaching experience here is bringing all those gadgets, renting them. It sparks interest. It sparks. It spurs, so much desire, among them, and a lot of them, they can forgo their farm. Take for example, any day rainfall here, most of the times you will not see them in class. They will go to the farm. That morning they are going to farm, and then. But since I started, renting all those gadgets, bringing them into for my lessons, any day they hear that I'll be using those gadgets, and even if rain falls, they will not mind to forgo their farm in that morning to make sure they are in attendance in my class.
Yeah.
So it's just so exciting here, and I really look forward to an interface where we can really share experiences, and then we can get to also enjoy, some of those privileges that you people have over there, and then to bring it into my own experience here, it's going to really go a long way.
Yeah. Thank you. Can I just jump in, because you said so many interesting things? I think already I can see the application form being created, because knowing that you can rent the equipment means that we can try to have some live classroom to classroom sharing. And there is project funding for this to allow you, we can use the funds to pay for the gadgets, for example. And even if there is connection issues, you can use pre-recorded materials. So it's quite exciting. I often work with clusters that are mainly primary school. I think now that we're both looking at high schools, we can really engage in that in a really good way. And straight away looking at equality of access to education, to technology, the combination of traditional ways of living and new 21st century skills, straight away we're coming up with some really interesting comparisons and project work potentially. I'll stop you there if that's okay, so we can go on to our other colleague from the other school, because I'm mindful I don't want to keep you really for over 40 minutes. But that's a wonderful introduction, and there's so much to share there, so that's really good. Thank you. Could I just double check what your role is in the school?
Okay, basically I'm the chemistry teacher. I teach chemistry, and aside that, I also lend hands in other subjects like mathematics and computer. So I lend hands to my other colleagues there, because we are short of staff strength. So anytime there is a need, why not? I make myself available, and in fact, they always find me so exciting. So it gives me so much joy to be privileged, to always impact them in my own way.
I'm sure everybody in the meeting can already feel your infectious enthusiasm. So that is is a wonderful addition to the project. Is there, in the Nigerian curriculum, is there a development studies topic or a life skills subject that's offered?
Yes, basically in the Nigerian curriculum right now, they're trying to integrate the STEM, I think, and then other programs, tailoring the career children, so that immediately some of them they finish from high school or from secondary school, they don't if they don't, they can already start something on their own, you know, instead of they joining the traffic, you know, in the job market. And then situation really is not easy here. Our economy is a little bit down right now. Things are not really working. Though what you see in the media, it's not truly what it is. But in the true sense, we that live here in the grassroots, it's really tough over here. In fact, people work so hard, but little come out of their efforts. So, but you see Nigerians smiling and they are happy. It doesn't really reflect the hardship they go through daily. But the good thing is that there's this joy that everybody exudes in the face of the hardship, in the face of.
Oh, you've just frozen. Oh, that's a shame. Abaji, you've just frozen. You might need to take off your video. Everybody's frozen. Oh, no, are we back in the room? It might be my signal is a little bit iffy as well. But that's brilliant. Hopefully everyone can still hear me. I think already even clocking in enterprise and skills for life, those types of things as some curriculum strands would be good for this project. And again, the challenge of living in poverty, I think, is something that has to be addressed here, and how different countries cope with that and how that affects well-being. I think we can't ignore coming out and living within a pandemic. I think that needs to be acknowledged, and that can be part of the getting to know you activities as well. Okay, right then. So we have our other school in Nigeria. Let me just look at my list here. Can I have a representative from the other school to introduce themselves, if possible?
Yes, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Sorry, I had a little network.
That's okay, no worries. What I'm going to do is mute everybody, and then if you just unmute when you're talking, I think that's going to be easier because we've got a bit of background noise. Okay, so there we go. Carry on.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
All right. I would like to apologize about my video. I don't know what's happening with my device this morning. My video is inactive. All right.
Problem.
My name is Bankole Bemiga Folabi. I work with the Lagos State government here in Nigeria. I teach at State Senior High School, Oyewole, Agege. I have taught in this school for 10 years. I've taught biology and no other subject for 10 years, and I've had an amazing time, even in the midst of the challenges. My school is located in suburban Agege, Lagos. Although it's in Lagos, there's still a measure of poverty and a lot of underdevelopment here. My school has a capacity of about 2,000 children. Our class sizes are quite large. We sit children in a room. We sit about between 60 and 90 students in a room at a time.
Wow.
So depending, and this year we seem not to have a lot of children, but in previous years we could have as large as 150 kids in a room at one time to one teacher. So this location, Agege, is known for some measure of inconsistency in terms of urban development and all. There are a lot of abandoned projects here, but then the children are keen to learn, because I've had, I said I've worked here for 10 years. I've had my children leave school and still go into tertiary institutions and do very, very well with themselves. I'm also the STEM coordinator here for my school. I'm the STEM coordinator, the deputy STEM coordinator for my school. So I've had my children representing my school in the district, in the zonal, in the state, and even at national level. So it's been an amazing experience working with them. My children, the age range is between 12 and 18. We have 12 in SS1. SS1 is the lowest level that we have in my school, and SS3, that's the senior secondary school 1, senior secondary school 3, and SS3 is the highest level that we have. We run the Nigerian curriculum that is very similar to the British curriculum. And, you know, because of this, I've been able to use over the years a lot of resources that I get online from British schools. Currently, I'm teaching SS3, but last year I taught SS1, and I actually used a whole package that I found on the internet from a British school, you know, on microorganisms. I was able to adapt fairly well to many of the things because the content of our curriculum were quite similar. The only thing that I've had challenges with is how to implement project-based learning and critical thinking and problem-solving skills into my teaching practice. So, but whenever I go online, and thank God for the exposure British Council gave me, whenever I go online and I search for, so that's usually my area of focus to get material, to get resources that I can use to teach critically and allow my students solve problems. You see, when I was approached by the coordinators for British Council in Nigeria, I was quite happy because I knew that, okay, yes, finally I'm going to have an opportunity to have foreign elements embedded in my local curriculum. And that, you know, for so many years, I've had to self-develop until I came across British Council. I've had to go online, do a lot of research, join educational blogs, and just wait on information to drop, be eager to come back into class and implement whatever it is that I picked up from those blogs. So, but with this now, I'm glad I'm going to be able to get first-hand foreign elements that I can inculcate into my local curriculum. And with this exposure to, with this global learning partnership, I'm also looking forward to new approaches to teaching biology. In Lagos here in Nigeria, biology is a compulsory subject for all the streams. We have 3 streams in our schools. We have students that run into sciences, those that do humanities, and students that are business centered. So, but biology is at the center of these 3 streams. You know, it's very easy for me. It has been easy over the years for me to teach children who are STEM oriented because they know that they can't go into tertiary institutions without a significant grade in biology. But I found a lot of difficulty when I'm supposed to be teaching humanities and business things because they know they don't need it at all in their tertiary institutions. So I'm looking for how to spare passion in my children, irrespective of what stream that they belong to. I don't want to just be the teacher that is able to spare a science student into making A's in biology, but I want to be that teacher that who assumes a role and does it effortlessly well. So currently, I'm running actually 2 projects, one on pollution control. Last year, before COVID, there's a portion of our curriculum that handles ecological management. And under that, we looked at pollution control. And, you know, it was unlike what I would normally do. Thank God for British Council. I wasn't asking my students to just read and then tell me. It was not rote learning anymore. It was not, it no longer became the traditional lecture method. Now I was asking them, what do you think you can do? Indigenous ideas to solve the crisis of pollution here in Agege. And we picked our school community as a focal point. And then from there, we began to extend outside into Agege as a larger community. So my children, you know, at first they came up with, the government needs to come and do this, government needs to come and do, and I'm like, no, you are global learners. You no longer need to wait for the government. What can you do? So, you know, and 13-year-old kids, 14-year-old despondent children were coming up with ideas of not throwing their refuse on the floor anymore, not burning their refuse anymore, declustering their gutters. And that just blew me away because before now, even my older colleagues have not taught it the same way. And because of this, we're getting results. Our school community is cleaner. I'm having children who are more responsible. So I really want to build on that, and also look at how I said earlier, how to harmonize my 3 streams. Look for how to link more knowledge or tap experiences from the teachers that I'm going to be linked with on how I can link biology to real life processes.
Yeah.
I no longer want them to just say, oh, okay, biology is the study of life, but let them be able to pick whatever it is that they get in my classroom and affect the larger world. I keep telling them, because now with my awareness and my training with British Council, I use a lot of online resources for them. I tell them, go and do quizzes. I created a classroom on quizzes. So we go back, I give them assessments on quizzes. We use WhatsApp a lot now. We use Telegram a lot. So, and with this, I tell them there's no difference between you and an average child anywhere in the world. These are the same tools that they are using. Let's get ourselves familiarized. I did not know that I was going to get the opportunity to sit at a meeting like this. So I'm going to go back to class and tell them, you see, I sat down with teachers from the United Kingdom. You can do the same too. In my school, we don't have modern teaching facilities. Of course, we don't have smart boards. We don't even have power in my classroom. But I have one system, one computer system, and I always lend my daughter's computer system, and I bring it to class. Maybe I will share a picture sometime later, and I always bring the two to class. And then I have this MP3 speaker, a Bluetooth speaker.
Oh, good.
When I download videos from YouTube, I have one student stand in front of one computer, another in front of another. We press play together. So that we can synchronize video and audio, and then they watch.
Amazing.
I tell them, you see, with this, your learning becomes permanent because you are seeing what I'm telling you. You are seeing the mode of operation of the mammalian act. It's no longer me describing it to you. Now, this is how it is. It is real. It's not just a figment of your biology teacher's imagination now. This is what it is. So, and it's just been an amazing experience. I appreciate British Council for this opportunity. Thank you so much. I hope I've not bored you with my long story.
Bankole, can I just say, I kind of wish I was in the classroom with you, because again, your infectious enthusiasm is phenomenal. And already, British Council colleagues, I can see a case study coming up here, because this project is going to be really exciting. Straight away, I'm thinking of teacher to teacher sharing. So you've got examples of integrated learning and how we work in Wales. We've got this new curriculum, like I said, that is holistic, and it is looking at bringing areas of learning together to learn thematically. So again, I think we have some fantastic stuff to share with you. But straight off the bat, what you're saying you did with your pupils about the pollution project, that would be an amazing peer sharing opportunity for your learners to share with ours in Wales. So I can see so much exchange happening here. And if you're willing to use your own equipment, like your daughter's laptop and your Bluetooth speaker, then we don't have issues with exchanging information. It might not be as live as we want it, but we can try. But we can always have a plan B and a plan C to combat any issues with that. Okay. I'm so excited and so happy about this. We've got lots of things noted down that could be potential ways forward. What I want to do is just ask our colleagues from the British Council in Nigeria to say hi and contribute anything that they'd like to, and then I can share with you some actions of what we're going to do from here. So John, would you like to say hi? You're the one I've been in touch with.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon, for the opportunity, and it's been a great, for me, it's more of expectation actually coming to be, because I've been looking for this opportunity actually to expose these teachers of ours to what we call global standard, and which has always been our heart cry here. So I want to thank you for the privilege and the opportunity given to each and every one of us. Yeah, you asked a question last time about whether our curriculum is something that has to do with this case. Yes, of course. Lately, I think 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, the government actually introduced what we call trade subjects into the curriculum, where we have students going through a course that we actually expose them to skills that will be useful even after the classroom. So we have subjects like marketing, which has to do with entrepreneurship, stuff like that. And we have some practical subjects actually, and to a great extent. But the problem, of course, is like we always say, is how these subjects are being delivered. And that is where the connecting classroom training is stepping in, because most time they just concentrate on the knowledge aspect of it, and at the end of the day, learners are not equipped with the skills they need. And you agree with me, knowledge alone is not enough, like we used to sing always. So how do we now equip our teachers with skills so that they can deliver this content in such a way that the learners will not just live with head knowledge, but they should be able to leave the classroom with skills which are necessary, and which is what the global community, of course, needs. Is what it has been always our passion and our drive. And sincerely, these two teachers here are people who have actually demonstrated that to a great extent, and that is why they are here. And I believe they will take further, and it is, of course, an opportunity for them to learn. And apologies also, I also added someone into the call. She's actually a connecting classroom, one of our connecting classroom facilitator. We gave her an extended role, that is in terms of us providing support for teachers involved in international partnership. So she actually plays this role also. So apart from me constantly discussing with them, she will always be there to guide them where there's a project that they need to work on. She gives them this kind of guidance generally, so that they will be able to maximally derive benefit from the partnership. And I'll give her this time, I think, to introduce herself. Mrs. Julia Remo, can you please say hi?
Okay. So, good morning once again, everyone, and my Nigerian teachers. Good morning. I'm glad to be here. And as Jetta has said, my role is to support the Nigerian schools, and then to also encourage them, in every way that I can. I'm glad that Nigerian schools are collaborating, partnering with British school, especially Wales. In 1998, I spent 12 weeks in Wales. I was attending University of Cardiff. University of Wales, Cardiff. Yes. So I was on the British Evening Scholarship. So I spent 12 weeks. I think 12 weeks, yes. I spent 12 weeks. Sir David Owen Population Center.
Did you learn any Welsh?
Maybe I've forgotten. It's been a long, long time. But I still remember that I had a wonderful time, a peaceful place from hustle and bustle of London. So it was really nice. And then the people are very friendly and all that. So when they said you have the schools are in Wales, I'm so glad, and I know that we are going to have a wonderful time together, and we are going to be learning a lot from each other. Definitely. It's going to be a fantastic partnership, and I wish everyone a very good time. Thank you very much. I'm always available.
Okay, brilliant. If everybody actually could put their email in the chat, I can then straight away make sure everything is sent to you, and I will set up a WhatsApp group so that we can use that for ease of communication, especially in this short period of time to get the application done as well. Is there anything else anyone wants to add before I share my screen and go through a list of to-dos? No? Okay, let me just open up, and I've made a Google Doc, so I'll share the link with everybody, and if you've got access to Google, then you can all contribute to that. Just bear with me for a second. Of course, I've got everything else open other than what I need, so is the way. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Yep, great, because I can't see you now.
Yep.
I can only see my screen. So I'll share this link with you, and I'll put in some of the information that we've talked about here. But what we've got first up the bat is just to fill in some boring school information. So there's a link there for the Nigerian schools. I've got the Welsh schools already, but that's just data. So the number of learners you have, the number of staff, how many would potentially be involved in the project, how many learners with special educational needs are there in the school, and how many will be involved in the project. So it's all that information. In Wales, there's a self-assessment form for CPD. So for professional development, we've got a very clear matrix of what can be offered in Wales. In Nigeria, it is using the British Council offer. So if you've already attended some British Council training, which it sounds like you have, could you please make a note of that on this form? I'll put a little box there for you to fill in. And anything in particular that you know you want to do with the British Council offer in Nigeria, then also write that down. I assume that the office is doing some online training now during the pandemic and will eventually move back to face-to-face. But if that communication can happen, so we know what opportunities there are for you, such as the core skills courses and things like that. So then there is the online application. Okay, now I'm not going to bore you all with that for now. What I'll do is work with the Welsh schools on that, because it's really fiddly, and if you're working on your phone, it's really hard to do. But in order to get that application form done, I've set up a Google form that's got all the questions on. Okay, so like I said, a Welsh school will take the lead, but everybody can contribute their ideas to this Google form. Okay, so that I'll share that link with you also, but you know, these things kind of need to be done in order so that I can fill in the data as well. I'll set up a WhatsApp group and send you the link for that. And then there's a really nice British Council resource, which hopefully I can open. And I think it'd be worth you all taking a look at this and doing this as a little activity to get to know each other. So it's a really simple challenge, and if I just summarize it very, very quickly, so it's just looking at daily life and teaching and learning in your school. So it's a comparison, and you might have some photographs of your school, or you might have your website. We use Twitter a lot in the UK, so we can share our Twitter accounts. And then you can ask some of your learners in your school to write a little bit, or do an audio file or a little video file to say a bit about the school. It could be with drawings, it could be with photos, you know, it's up to you. But to start off with that pupil and teacher exchange just about your schools would be a really good foundation activity for everybody. And so you can read more about that there, but it's open. It's as open and as creative as possible, just to get the ball rolling before we start the project officially. Okay, now in order to be able to write this project, I'm just going to come back to my screen here now and stop sharing if I can. In order to be able to write the core of this project, it is deciding on the global goal. Now, we know from Wales, we've talked about reducing inequalities, which is SDG 10. And so that would be looking deeper at the United Nations goals and what those indicators are and how that impacts populations in both countries and other places around the world. But from what you were saying, I think there is a strong element there of STEM and science that can be brought into this, which we could look through SDG 4, which is quality education, and the whole interactive, active teaching and learning and integrated planning needs to be a strong element of that, which again would be SDG 4, quality education. So I think both of those could be the focus global goals. Badger, you've got your hand up there. Or if you unmute.
Oh, sorry. Yes, ma'am. So I actually wanted to talk about the population of my, the class average of my school, and also the age, age bracket of the school. like my fellow colleague Bemi said, the school here is a senior secondary school from SS1 to SS3. So they go through senior secondary school 1, senior secondary school 2, and senior secondary school 3 before they write their exams. So the age, the bracket, like my class particularly, I currently take SS2, and they are between average of 15 to 18. And then like particularly this term, we dealt with topics in chemistry like oxygen and its compound, hydrogen and its compound. And it was so exciting because one of the things I did to make the class interesting was I got videos of what the world is doing currently, what advanced countries and advanced nations are doing currently, you know, turning away from the use of fossil fuel, turning away from the use of, because of the climate change issue. So, and you see, unfortunately, this side of the world where we are, our government are insensitive. They are not showing any responsibility towards all that. So bring that energy into my classroom to make my students understand that this is what is happening globally, and every one of us, we've got to align. And then I've told them that probably in a decade or 2 decades from now, most of these fossil fuel vehicles or machines we use around, they will soon fizzle out, because the way to go is clean energy. The way to go is save energy. Take, for example, I showed them videos of cars already that are manufactured, that are already running on hydrogen fuel, you know, and I showed them vehicles too that already are running on solar. I showed them those videos, and countries that already installing facilities and infrastructure that will be able to, you know, cater for those innovations. So, and I'm beginning to open their mind to let them understand that we, the younger generation, if our leaders will not show responsibility, we have to, in our own way, find a way in our, especially in Jiwa community here, find a way to see how we can discourage the use of, because they use charcoal and firewood in cooking here. That is what they use around here, because it's a rural set. It's a rural setting. So they go to the bush and you know, they get firewood, and that is what they use to cook. And all these things are part of what contributes badly, you know, to depletion of the ozone, and then eventually transcending into the global warming issue. So what we are trying to see how we can, you know, liaise with the locals, you know, but it's starting from my class.
Yeah.
How we can, you know, I can open up their understanding, and then they can let their parents know, and then probably profile alternative that is cheaper and affordable, you know, ways of, you know, cooking their foods and using such energies in their house, and that will be clean, and are also, you know, aligned to what is obtainable globally, you know. So one of the MDG expectations I'm hoping is the issue of global warming. I'll really be looking up to interface with, you know, my other colleagues over there, and how to, you know, bring that energy to this community particularly, and also my fellow colleagues that are here too. It's really going to go a long way.
I'm sure both schools in Wales, the science departments, and even geography are looking at work that are looking at clean energy and climate change. So I think, again, there's some great subject to subject departmental sharing that could happen. I think in terms of the application, it's simpler if we frame it with less, in a sense, so that the focus would be the quality education route of comparison and sharing, with the dimensions potentially then in Wales looking at reduced inequalities and comparing and sharing that with Nigeria, and in Nigeria looking more at the sciences by the sounds of it, and sharing that with Wales. Okay, so what we can do is add some notes to this Google Doc that will help us fill in the online application. But the framework generally will run, because it's only until December, this project, so this is very much the foundation of a bigger project. There will be a new version in 2022, hopefully, that then we can further develop it, and hopefully have reciprocal visits to each other's countries as well. So if we look at it as a shorter project now that is very much about getting to know each other, looking at how your learners can interact, and like I said, departments can start to interact, but it needs to lead to action for the Sustainable Development Goals. And what we always encourage for that is that each school uses a learner voice group. So we use school councils, or we have environmental groups, or we have a number of different ways in which we can have action for the SDGs. And so if all schools can adopt that towards the end of the project, and it might be something really simple, like those young people make a video, an awareness raising video about the project and about the countries, and share that with the wider community. That could be the action, you know, or it could be really specific, and it could be looking at a sustainable energy response in your particular school using expertise from around the world, you know. But what you want is that action needs to be quite specific. In the application, we can write it as a general action for now, because the project will evolve and change over the coming months. Okay, but any ideas, let's try and get them on that Google Doc. So in the timeline is that we have our Easter holidays coming up. So, and typically the deadline is the day after the Easter holidays. So we want to try and get as much on paper now, and any ideas, and then I can arrange a time. I can try and get an extension, I'm sure, for the application. So when you come back after Easter, we could try and meet on that first day to finalise things. But we could speak next week and make a plan, okay? And give everybody a good couple of days to put their ideas on the Google Doc, and then we can use WhatsApp to make some sense and have any questions and answers as well, to drive it forward. And everybody can access the application form, like I said, but it is a little bit horrible. So I don't want everybody to feel the burden of doing that. So if we can get it all on the shared doc, I think that would be a lot easier for us. Okay. Right. Any key questions before we finish up? We are going up to 10 o'clock our side and 11 o'clock your side now. So I do really appreciate your time this morning. But is there any burning questions at the moment that I can answer, or anybody else can answer? John?
Sorry, Sharon, I think I need to make a little emphasis. I think considering inequality, I think with the advent of COVID and also the two schools being represented here, I think it's a good topic to actually look at, consider also. So I will suggest the Nigerian schools really picking this up, because we have this issue going on, especially with the lockdown. A lot of students, we are cut off from learning totally because of either economic reason or access to power, access to internet connectivity. And these are things I think we need to really bring on board. So in addition to whatever idea they have, I think we will consider adding that into the whole stuff, and it should play a key role, I think, in all of the action plan, because issue of access is something that the education worldwide have not been able to answer, because with the advent of COVID, there's a lot of conversation going on how can we address the issue of access, how are we going to address the issue of inequality, you know, all this stuff. So it's a good area to look at. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and again, I think coming back to the foundation, I think that's really important. Yeah, so if we have that as our foundational project, that can increase in depth then as we move forward. Yeah, okay, I think that's very good. Okay, Bankole, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you again. I particularly want to comment on what Mr. Jethouse said now, because for my action plan project with British Council, my children and I keep saying my children, my learners and I actually work around COVID-19 and its impact across all spheres of the Nigerian system. So I was wondering, since we are going to be looking at something like that, I would like to I would have a lot of questions to ask the school that I'm going to be partnered with, how they survived post-COVID, during COVID, and all, and then share what my children did, because it was actually my action plan project with British Council, and my mentors and everyone at British Council told me I did a fantastic job. So I just wanted to compare that with what we have over there. Thank you.
Okay, so well, maybe that should be the getting to know you activity. So it's a shorter introduction about your school, but then more about the impact of COVID. Especially we are just returning to school now in Wales after another lockdown. So I think that's really, really important to share. And the initiatives that have been put in place here to enable access, which I think would be really interesting, into limitations of access potentially in your schools. Okay. All right, folks, this has been probably the best first meeting I've had with a cluster, so I am very, very excited. I will email everybody with all the links and the Google Doc and the template, and then I'll contact the Welsh colleagues next week about getting things together and booking in a time. I think, John, is it possible to invite a primary school, potentially a feeder school, to one of these secondary schools to join the cluster, if possible?
Okay, yes, sure, it's fine. We can invite our school to join.
Okay, if you could let me know which secondary school, because then that will be the one that links to Laura's school.
So
and
you
then,
mean secondary or primary?
Well, because Laura, the Ysgol Nant Gwyn is a full phase 3-year-old to set to 16. So we need that younger age range to join with that side of the project also.
Okay. I'll get you that. Yeah,
okay.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Okay, it's been wonderful to meet you all. Like I said, I'm very excited. There's lots of smiles on the screens here. And, you know, thank you for joining and giving us your time and your enthusiasm. You're all so enthusiastic and excited about this, which is brilliant. And that's where these projects really, really succeed, on those personal passions. And that's what we want our learners to get from the project as well, because they take it with that passion and they run. And again, they start to realise that they can change the world, and it is their responsibility as well as ours to do so. So it's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful day and weekend, and I will forward everything to you straight away. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Sharon.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Nice to meet you. Bye.
Yes, bye-bye. Nice to meet you all. Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you all. Bye.